Hello, fellow travel lovers. Cheryl here. Wanted to let you know that today's episode is a part one of a two-parter with our guest, Kate Skone. She is going to be helping Ryan plan his trip to Disneyland. I hope you enjoy.
To India and Ireland, round Africa and back again. We don't really need to know just where we'll go. Maybe Canada, then to Brazil, then through the Alpine foothills. All I really want to know is can we go? Oh baby, can we go? Round and around the globe.
Welcome to Take Me With You, episode 67. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Cheryl. We are two well-traveled people who want to go everywhere.
But that's not going to happen. So instead, we'll travel vicariously by inviting a guest to share their unique travel stories with us.
Today, we are welcoming back my sister, Katie. Welcome, Katie.
Hello.
Yay!
So Katie's been on before to share about her amazing trip to Japan. And today we're not doing a trip report. We're actually going to plan a trip that we've been talking about for a long time. And so I said, Ryan, we got to bring the expert in. Let's get out the big guns for this one. So our listeners, if they listen to Katie's episode, might remember that she got to go to Tokyo Disney. And Katie is a massive Disneyland fan and just Disney in general. And listens to Disney podcasts and nerds out and knows what years rides opened and all sorts of things like that. And so we are here today because Ryan has not gone to Disneyland since he was a child, like a young child.
Yes, like we discovered, I was talking to a few other friends who have more Disney experience than me, which is not hard. And we determined it was over 25 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's awesome. So, before we get into it, because I know we're all like on the edge of our seats, excited to do this. Katie, we've already asked you our typical interview questions that we ask all of our Timwe guests. But we have a new spin on them this time because we're talking about Disney and you love Disney. So, Ryan, you want to ask Katie some questions?
Sure. So the first question is, why do you travel to Disney theme parks?
I love it. Yeah. Well, probably a lot of it is nostalgia because we went to the Disney theme parks growing up. I think for a lot of adults that go back to Disney theme parks, that's part of the reason. And yeah, I love it. I would say Disneyland's like my home park, if you will. And I like to go to the other ones as well. And I kind of geek out over the theme design. I think it's really interesting how they evoke places or settings with the different ways they design areas and buildings and lay things out, and landscaping and all the little touches. So I think that's really interesting. Yeah, and it gives you the good feels. I don't know. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So for someone like me who doesn't have the nostalgia, is it still worth going?
Yes.
Well, Ryan, I think what you have going for you is that you do like Disney films a lot.
I do.
Yeah, that helps too.
I think if you were also not into Disney films, then it would be like, well, do you like rides?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, eventually we might run out of reasons that you would be into it. Other than it's just very well done.
Yeah.
Whatever they do, like, they really go for it. I mean, you're waiting in line for a ride and experiencing the theme of the ride as you're standing in line. And so it seems like whatever they do, it's done very well. So
Yes.
I think you'll appreciate that too. But I think you're going to just love, and you love Star Wars, so obviously
Yes.
there's that too. But you just like other Disney movies as well. And so I think you're just going to have fun with those things. So
Yes.
Cool.
We've decided you will like it.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Next question. What type of Disney traveler are you, Katie?
So, I mean, this is going to be similar to my answer from the last episode I was in. I plan quite a bit because I only get there every couple or few years. So when I go, I'm like, I want to know what I want to do and the best, like, fast pass strategy and all that good stuff. So I plan out quite a bit. I read a lot about the parks and what's kind of the current state of things and what to eat. Sure, I spend a lot of time looking at Disney food blog posts about like stuff to eat because there's always something new to eat.
I find it so funny that there are blogs dedicated specifically to Disney food.
Oh yeah, yes there are. That's a big thing.
Go deep.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I plan a lot and I think about it a lot, and so that probably resembles quite a bit of just how I plan. A lot, not all of my travel, but a lot of my travel in general. Yeah.
So are you a minute by minute itinerary when in Disneyland type of person?
Not exactly. So the early morning, I would say, is fairly structured in terms of like go to this ride, then this ride, and get this fast pass first, then this one. But the rest of the day, I don't like to do it like that. I kind of have a list of things that would be good to do, and then I kind of pick and go along that list in no particular order. Just depends on kind of what we're close to or what sounds good or whatever. So you can kind of think about like, well, what's, if you plan your morning well and execute that plan well, then you can kind of take it easier the rest of the day.
That's good to know.
Good piece of advice wrapped in there too.
So then do you, and maybe we're diving in too deep, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you, as you talked about, knowing which rides in which order and when to get a fast pass and those things, do you plan that yourself or do you use another website or blog or something to make that plan or get that plan?
Yeah, there's a couple websites I reference. There's touringplans.com. That one's awesome. And then there's Disney Tourist. My blog is my favorite general Disney blog. They're awesome. So I look at both of those and see what they recommend. They get Touring Plans is like this crazy data-based website where they like take like regular measurements of like crowds and lines and all this stuff and can help you figure out like what order is best for your trip and all that stuff. So it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. What is your number one? I know this may be difficult. Disneyland travel tip.
Oh, number one Disneyland travel tip. I did not prepare this in advance.
Just follow your heart, Katie.
Oh, that's hard. I might, it might just be not to like, it might just be to referencing what I was just talking about, which was trying to like hit the sweet spot of like doing some planning, but not like expecting to like plan down to the minute. That's probably the best way to, if you approach it, unless you're a local, like Cheryl used to be, then you can just go and not plan anything and just hang out. But because I only get there every few years, I want to make sure everything happens that I want to happen. So yeah, you have to manage your expectations too. So if you go at a super crowded week, don't expect that you're going to do as much as you would on a quieter time of year, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's probably just good in general, is to assume it's going to be crazy crowded. And then if it's not, you have the bonus of like, oh, cool, I could go on that ride again, or I can do more rides than I thought, or things like that. Like one time, Katie, I went to school in Southern California, and I had a Disneyland annual pass for 4 years down there. And Katie came down to visit me one time, and we went, and it was raining really hard, and the park just like cleared out. And so a couple of rides we just like went through the ride several times in a row.
Yeah.
Which like never
Nobody
happens
there. There's everyone left.
But
yeah.
and so that was crazy because it felt like being just like a local amusement park for the level of actually probably even less than that. I mean, just like no one was there.
Yeah.
And so, but our expectation was like, yeah, you wait in line for a while and everything. And then when that wasn't the case, that was just like a fun added bonus, you know?
Yeah,
so.
we like went on Indiana Jones right before park closed too, and we were the only people that were going to be in the last ride vehicle they were going to run. And then the guy that was running the attraction just hopped in the back, like, to ride with us.
Which, like, Disneyland is not that casual normally, but it was like 11:59 p.m.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Katie, I have a bonus question for you.
Oh, bonus question.
So it's funny. I'm actually looking at the history of our show, and we recorded your last episode almost exactly a year ago. So it's January right now, and we recorded your last episode in January. And at the time, you were pregnant. And at the end of the episode, you shared about how you were going to be going on a baby moon before you had your babies. Well, now you've had your babies. They're little 6-month-old, adorable twin boys, and you are obviously a Disney fanatic. I think you've surpassed me and then some in this area. What's the strategy with when they're first going? What's the second? I mean, have you even thought, what's the second time they're going? Like, are you going to try to get them in while they're still free? What's the deal here?
Yeah, I'd really like to take a trip before they turn 3. So that we can get them in for free one time, because the remaining trips after that we'll have to pay for them. So,
Are you going to wait till they surpass the like height limit of all the rides the next time, or
I don't know. I haven't planned
make
it
the most
out.
of it?
It'll depend on budget and budget for money, but also budgeting our like vacation days type of stuff, and trying to figure out, because while I love Disney, there's some people that go to Disney parks once a year, every year, or sometimes multiple times a year as their family vacations. And I like to go other places too. I don't only want to go to Disney. And so I would love to go every year, but that would be sacrificing other trips that we want to take. So we'll have to figure that out, what that looks like for us. I think maybe when they're younger kids, so that will be one of the places that's, you know, more fun to take them. So we might do more trips. I don't know, but I'm not quite sure yet.
Well, if it's useful, and if we wanted to do another Disney themed episode, I have a friend who, I think her oldest daughter is, how old is she now? 5, 6? Something like that. And they have taken their kids to Disneyland at multiple stages and have different strategies based on different ages and things like that. So maybe it would be helpful to get her on and record some how to do kids in Disney.
That would be
at some
awesome,
point.
because that would be a very new experience for us.
Yeah.
when they're like 2 years and 11 months and 3 weeks old, and you're going on your trip to just like get under that radar of that 3-year mark. We could do a trip planning episode for you as a parent. But Ryan is not a parent.
No, thankfully.
And is going as an adult on his own. And so we are going to talk today a lot about visiting the parks as an adult. And here we go. That's Mario. That's not Disney. I was
that's not
trying.
Disney.
Although there's going to be a Nintendo Land opening up pretty soon. So
Where?
Universal. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, we get all the hot goss with Katie over here.
I think there's a Mario Kart ride, which is like, of course, you have to do a Mario
That
Kart
would be
ride.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be very
I
fun.
want to throw a blue shell at somebody.
Okay, guys, so where do we even begin?
Yeah,
Ryan, do you have like a number one burning question?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think
Katie, do you have anything that you want to start with?
Well, I think if Ryan wants to briefly share about like when he's visiting, where he's staying, how long he's going to be there, that would be a good place to start.
Yeah. So I will be going in February, the week before President's Day weekend. So I will most likely, let me pull up a calendar here. to remember the exact dates. I will most likely be there on the 10th, 11th, 12th, and maybe 13th, which is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So my very first question is, what's the right number of days? In my head, I was thinking 3 or 4, but some people have told me less than that. So,
well, yeah, no, 3 to 4 sounds great. That is what I would definitely suggest for you.
Okay.
If you get to go more often, then less than that's probably fine. But if you're going for the first time as an adult, yeah, you're going to want to see everything. And Disneyland is at least a 2-day park these days. And they just added Star Wars Land, so they just extended how long you're going to want to spend there already, just by adding a new land and some attractions and things to do there. So yeah, your 3 to 4 days would be good, because that would give you Disney California Adventure is pretty much a 1-day park. Depending, I mean, you can even spend less than a day there, depending on how interested you are in everything. But you haven't been there before, so I would say spend a day there, and then spend a 2 to 3 at Disneyland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how fun would it be for you to like feel like you've covered all the stuff in 3 days and have that 4th day to go revisit the favorites?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to do, if you stay for 4th day, then you'll get to repeat stuff, which is, I always like to do.
So with 3 days, probably going to only do things once.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, which is fine. Also, one thing that I think is semi-unique for me is I don't really like roller coasters. So that will remove some of the rides. For example, there is no way you will get me on Splash Mountain ever. Or the Guardians of the Galaxy drop thing.
Oh gosh,
no. Like,
so
those are not happening.
Those are the same ones that I avoid. I don't like a dropping ride. And so Splash Mountain, like, if you really care what it's like, I'm sure someone has it on YouTube, a video of the ride, so you can even see the story that you're missing.
Nope,
but it's
I'm
just
good.
like, dum-de-dum-de-dum, fall. And so, yeah, I always skip those ones, and it's fine. And so, and then California Adventure has a roller coaster that just looks like a roller coaster. But most of the other rides...
Is that the Incredicoaster?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it used to be called California Screamin', and they've been adding more of a Disney theme to that park.
It's pretty lightly themed. Yeah. It's mostly still just a roller coaster.
That one just looks like a roller coaster, and it is. It is a roller coaster ride.
It's,
But a lot of their other rides, even if they go fast and zip around, I think you're still going to enjoy it because they're not crazy hardcore. There aren't crazy drops in it. And so I think you're already aware of the ones that you don't need to go on. And that's a pretty short list. So
yeah,
okay,
absolutely. Yeah. So I would say, Incredicoaster, the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction that used to be Tower of Terror,
right.
Splash Mountain. Those are the ones with the big drops. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that has a significant drop. Oh, you also didn't really want to go on the like soak you wet water rides, right? Like you weren't interested in that.
Probably not. I mean, I'm going in February, so who knows exactly what the weather is going to be like, but it won't be particularly warm.
Yeah.
Which is, there are many reasons I'm going in February, and one of them is because I don't like being particularly warm.
Yes.
And so if it's, even cloudy and overcast, I live in
happy.
Seattle like you guys, so I will be fine. Like, that won't bother me. I won't feel like I'm missing out. And, if it does start to rain at some point, like you described earlier, Cheryl, like it'll be fine for me. For the most part, I don't mind that. I won't feel like, oh, my Disney experience has been ruined because I'm in Southern California and it's raining. I'm like, nope. I feel more comfortable, more like I'm at home.
Yeah.
So that's not a big deal. And in general, I'm hoping that there aren't going to be a ton of people, except there's a unique thing that's happening this month in January, although I guess it's this month while we're recording, but it'll be in the past and will have already happened when this episode comes out. But the second Star Wars ride, the Rise of the Resistance, is opening on January 17th. And it already opened in Disney World and has had great reviews from what I've heard. And I have a feeling it's going to have a fair number of people. What I have no idea, and I don't know if anybody has an idea. I don't know, Katie, if you've read anything about it. I don't know. I'm sure it will make things busier than they would normally be this time of year, but I don't know if how crazy busy it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't really have a good answer for that. I think it'll be busier, but how much busier will be hard to predict. February, when you're going, is what I consider to be a really good time of year to go. Normally, it's Disneyland used to have like actual, like more dead periods where there really weren't many people there, and that was like when school was in session. Well, now it's kind of like people are always there, so it's always some amount of busy for the most part, but there's less busy times, and that's when you're going. It will be one of the normally less busy times. I don't know how Rise of the Resistance will impact it. I'm sure it will be more busy, but I don't know how crazy slammed it's going to be, because you're going during weekdays in an off time of year. So hopefully it won't be crazy. And you're not going like opening week either, so that will help.
No, I think it's like 3 weeks after. I think.
Yeah, so that should help.
17th, which is where is the 17th? I can't find the number. There it is. It's a Friday. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, like 3 weeks later, 3.5 weeks after it's open. So, I mean, I'm sure there will still be a lot of people, especially with that ride in particular, so there's another question for you. I've heard of these things called boarding groups.
Yes.
And I think you sent in an email, Katie, you mentioned something about it. Have you ever used them? Do you know how they work?
So I generally know how it works because I've been reading about it, how they're doing it at Walt Disney World. I have not used them because this is a new thing that they've done for the Star Wars Land attractions. And I've not actually been to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge yet. So I'm informing you based on all my internet readings and listening to podcasts and reading blogs and all that. But at Walt Disney World, where they have already opened this attraction at Disney's Hollywood Studios, they are using this virtual queue system with boarding groups.
Oh, wow.
And so as soon as you get how it works is that once your ticket is scanned in for the day at the park, you can go immediately into your Disneyland, or in that case, Walt Disney World, but you'll be using your Disneyland app, and you will be able to click to enter the virtual queue and be assigned a boarding group. But the thing about this is only during the first like couple hours, if that, of park operations before they run out, and then that's it for the day. So you will need to probably choose a day where you go before you arrive at the park and wait outside the gates before it opens, so that you can walk in the park when it's opening and get yourself into that boarding group, into the virtual queue, and get that boarding group number so that you can get onto that attraction, because that's how they're getting it. There's no fast pass, there's no regular standby line. It's just this virtual queue system that they're using. Now, that's how they're doing it at Walt Disney World. We don't know for sure that that's exactly how they're going to do it at Disneyland, so you're going to have to kind of keep yourself apprised of news on this front once it opens, and see what their Disneyland is saying about their operations and how they're doing this. But yeah, I'm guessing that's how they're going to do it as well. And it seems to be working pretty well, as long as you're willing to get there pretty early. That way you don't have to stand in line. You can do whatever you want to at the park until your boarding group gets called, and then you go to the ride. You don't have to wait for hours and hours and hours in line. You just wait.
So smart.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. And then once you get to the attraction, you're only in the queue for a short period, and the queue that you're in is highly themed and kind of part of the story of the attraction that you're walking through. Okay. So it sounds like it's all going to be a good experience. But yeah, you have to get up early.
Yeah, which we'll have to see how that goes, because I'm staying with my sister who works at Disney, and I'll probably be commuting in with her.
Yes.
So I don't have quite as much flexibility with time. But what time does the park open that time of year? Do you know?
I'm looking at the calendar. They have posted hours for...
Disneyland does?
Yeah, their hours are posted up through February 17th right now, it looks like.
Oh, perfect.
So you said 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th? Is that what we're looking
Yep.
at? Okay. Disneyland. Yep. Oh, good. They're doing early openings. Okay, so you want it to open early because on the days it doesn't open till 10 a.m., everybody's there waiting at the gate for park opening. And it's a mad
some days it doesn't even
house.
open until 10 in the morning?
Yeah, well, sometimes. And I've been there when it didn't open till like 9 or 10, and everyone's there already. And it's so crazy busy, and you have no advantage almost from arriving early to get to the park because it's not that early. But when it opens at 8, there's some days that you're going to be there where the park's opening at 8. That's great. Not that many people. Or, I don't know how Rise of the Resistance will impact this. I'm sure it will be different. But there's days where it's open from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And that's good because there's a lot of people that can't bring themselves to get to the park that early in the morning. So
sure,
if it's earlier opening, then you'll have the advantage of if you actually can make it there. And then so it's either opening at 8 or 9 all week, it looks like.
Okay.
You probably don't. Now, there's a couple days where they have what are called extra magic hours, which is where certain people are able to get into the park an hour early, and which is people that are staying at one of the resorts, or if you have like a 3-day or more ticket. And so you'll want to check I don't know what kind of ticket you have, but if it allows you
I have my sister is going to get me in maybe for free kind of ticket.
Yeah. So I don't know. You'll have to see if you get extra magic hour or magic morning. You can look at the Disneyland monthly calendar or daily calendar to see which days that's being offered. If you're able to do it, you can do that. And that means fewer people will be in the park at that time because only the people that have that benefit can use it. So if you have it, you can go. But if you don't have that benefit and it's an extra magic hour day, don't choose that as your early day at least.
Okay.
So go if you.
So it looks like maybe I found the same calendar that you're looking at. It looks like there's an extra magic hour and a magic morning on, what is that, Tuesday, and then also on Thursday.
Yeah, so you'll have to see if your ticket allows you one of those. You can usually use it once during your stay. So you could maybe do it one of those days, and that might work well for you. But, there's one where it's extra magic hour at 7 a.m. So that's pretty cool. There wouldn't be many people there at that time. But yeah, again, you'll have to get there. You'll have to be able to get there. So anyway, if you want to choose one morning to be like your early Star Wars morning to go on Rise of the Resistance, don't do it on a day where there's extra magic hour if you're not eligible for extra magic hour, because then people will be there before you and they'll be getting all those spots in the boarding groups and you probably won't be as likely to get one at that point. So
instead, I would want to do it on a day where there's the early magic hour in California Adventure?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
I'm wondering I don't know if you'd be able to resist not like going for it with Star Wars the first day, but I'm wondering if day one is more like go to Disneyland, get the lay of the land,
literally lay of the land.
Yeah. But, just kind of figure it all out and enjoy the rest of Disneyland. And
he can still go to
figure out where you're going.
Yeah,
I mean, you can still go, but maybe don't really hardcore go for it on the first one. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Or maybe even I don't know. Tell me what you think about this. First day, I get there, whatever time I get there, I can check the boarding group. If I can get in the boarding group that day, awesome. And if not, just plan to go for a different day.
Yeah.
But if for whatever reason it's not super crazy and I'm able to get in a boarding group, it seems like I should do it.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, unless it's does it make a difference what time the boarding group is for? Like, is it worse if it's, say, in the middle of the day versus in the morning or in the afternoon or anything
they
like that?
have a set number of people that they allow in a boarding group, so it's going to be no worse at any particular time of day.
Okay.
So, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but oh my gosh, I'm really excited to hear your trip report episode after your trip to hear about your whole experience at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, because like I said, I haven't been there yet. I'm really excited to hear about it. So yeah.
Ryan is like a true lover of Star Wars, and true nerd about it, just like Katie's a true nerd about Disneyland. So
Yep.
And have you,
I mean, I'm excited to go to Disneyland, but I'm really excited to go to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I would just allow yourself to like wander and explore and do everything you want to do there, because yeah, it's going to be awesome. How much have you read about the land or heard about it?
I've talked to several people who've been.
Mm-hmm.
I have quite a few friends who've already been there, and I've seen some stuff online, mostly videos. I tend to watch more YouTube reports and things than reading blogs.
Sure.
But at the same time, so I have a vague idea, but I don't feel confident that like I know Galaxy's Edge and I know exactly what's going to happen or anything like that. Cheryl and I have talked previously on the podcast about how I interact with maps, and I don't remember who our guest was, but there was one of our guests, I'm sure Cheryl will remember as soon as I say this, who she was describing how she doesn't really need the map because she looks at it ahead of time. What?
It was Kaylee.
Yep. See, there you go.
Yep.
And
she says it looks sporadic because she already has the map in her head, so she already knows where she's going. But yeah.
Whereas for me, I look on a map, and until I get there, it doesn't connect. Like I could do all the things on the map, but I can't translate it to the real physical space super easily.
Yeah.
And so I can look, like I have an idea where Galaxy's Edge is in relation to the rest of Disneyland. If you look at the map, it's up and to the left, right? But I don't actually have a good idea of where that actually is, other than I would walk sort of to the left-ish. So...
Well, there's only one entrance that helps. Main Street USA,
Okay.
You just go up and down Main Street USA. That's the only way in or out of the park. So that should help. But from there, it's a hub and spoke design for the whole park. So you get into this hub in front of the castle, and it's like a big circular plaza, and then all lands branch off from there. So you'd have to kind of figure out, which branch do I follow to get back there? One of the left ones. So yeah,
One of the left ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Galaxy's Edge, which is great, but I have lots more questions. Well, one of the things is I know very little about California Adventure because it didn't even exist when I went before. So you said maybe like a day.
Yeah.
It's a 1-day park.
Yeah.
What is it mostly going to rides? Is it seeing shows? What are the things that I would want to do and like make sure that I hit?
Yeah. So, there's a decent amount to do, and it fits pretty well in a day. Like that's what I spent there last time I went. We just did a day there and we did everything we wanted to do. So that works out really well in my opinion. So, so you're not going to go on the credit coaster. You're not going on the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction, which I can't ever remember the full name of because it's too long.
Formerly known as the Tower of Terror.
Formerly known as the Tower of Terror. So that actually makes it pretty easy because those are two of the ones that like can garner longer lines and eat up your fast passes. So if you're not going on those, then it should be easy to accomplish everything else you want to do. The one that I think you should try to go on twice when you're there at least is Radiator Springs Racers, which is in Cars Land. Yes, it's amazing. So I don't care about the Cars movie in particular. To me, it's one of the lesser Pixar movies, but Cars Land is awesome. And you should totally go on this attraction. It's not a roller coaster. It is a hybrid dark ride and thrill attraction, but not a roller coaster. It just goes fast.
Okay.
and you're in
I like going
a
fast.
car that looks like the cars from Cars, and and you ride through Radiator Springs, and it's got these amazing advanced audio animatronics. I mean, not as advanced as what they're making now, but pretty advanced, and it's very good. So you should probably, as soon as you get in the park, just go straight back there and get in line for that.
Does that one not have a fast pass?
It does. My advice to you would be do it early and also get a fast pass as soon as you get in the park. So you can ride it twice. So you can ride it when there's a shorter line early in the day, and then also get a fast pass for later in the day so you can ride it again, because it's totally worth riding at least twice. It's very good.
Katie, do they still offer single rider at
Yeah.
Disney parks?
Yeah, and that's the other
Ryan,
thing.
are you going with someone, or are you going to be by yourself some of the time, or all
I
the time?
don't know for sure. I think I will probably be by myself at least
Okay.
one of the days. I know my sister is going to have to work, so she's not going to be able to be with me. There are other people that I know who live down there that I need to reach out to. Like, I've talked to them a little bit. It's like, hey, I'm going to be around. It'd be fun if you could come, but not necessarily locked anyone in to know for sure if they're going to come and join me yet. So it's possible I might be by myself. It's possible I may have one or two other people with me.
Okay, so Katie, you should tell them about single rider then.
Yeah, so single rider is available. I pulled up the list of the attractions it's available at. So at Disneyland.
Are you on the Disneyland website, or are you on one of your blog websites?
Well, I put it on my document that I'm reading from, but it's on the Disneyland website.
Okay.
If you just Google Disneyland single rider, it'll come right up and you can look at it. So at Disneyland, it's available at Indiana Jones Adventure, Matterhorn Bobsleds, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run,
Ooh.
Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, and Star Tours The Adventures Continue. So
Star Tours.
those ones all offer single rider. As in DCA, Disney California Adventure, I'm probably just going to call it DCA from now on because it's shorter. We have Goofy's Sky School, but don't go on that one because it's not a good ride. Grizzly River Run. That's one of the water rides. So you may not want to go on that one. The Incredicoaster, which you're not going on, and Radiator Springs Racers. So you can totally take advantage of the single rider line.
It's way shorter, and if you don't care if you sit next to the person you're with, or if you're actually just going through the parks alone, then you're skipping a lot of line to go on that.
It is totally worth going on. It's way shorter, and Radiator Springs Racers still ends up being one of the longest lines at DCA. So it is very much worth using single rider, using fast pass, whatever things that you can use to not have to wait in a standby queue, because that can get pretty long. So yeah, so you can race there first thing in the morning and go in the single rider line, and then you can also get a fast pass for later in the day. So yeah, it's definitely something you should make sure to do. What else in California Adventure?
Well, I'll share about one of my favorite things
please
in
do.
California Adventure. So when you walk in the park, it is similar to Disneyland in that, like, you kind of walk in, and shortly after you get there, there's that, like, the hub with the spokes, but it kind of goes a little more windy. But if you walk in and you turn left, there's like a Hollywood Street. What's it actually called, Katie?
Oh, it's called Hollywood Land.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Hollywood Land. Unfortunately, Ryan, one of your favorite things is no longer there. They used to have.
Oh, is that where a Muppet thing
theater.
was?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's now a Frozen sing-along. Is it still that, Katie?
No, so it's actually now, I believe it's still, there's a show from Walt Disney World that they brought over there, which is the, oh shoot, now I can't remember what it's called. I didn't even look this up beforehand because I forgot about it, but it's a recent addition. It's the one with Donald Duck, with the symphony, the 3D attraction. Hold on, let me
The
look.
Silly Symphony?
No.
Is that what it is?
Hold on a
Okay.
second. Now I have to look this up because I can't stand not
It's fine.
knowing.
We can.
Mickey's Philharmagic.
Okay.
So that one's worth going to. It's a cute 3D show with different, like, with Donald Duck. It's kind of like Fantasia based. Like, Mickey is directing an orchestra, and then Donald Duck gets involved, and hijinks ensue, and they go through different Disney music. And There's different effects. It's a cute show. I haven't seen it at California Adventure. I've seen it at Disney World because it's recently only been added to DCA. But that one's worth going on. So good mention there. What were you going to say, Cheryl? You were talking about the Muppets.
I was going to say there's a building that you go in, and now I forget the name of the building, but they have a couple different non-ride things you can do in there. And my favorite one in there is Turtle Talk with Crush.
Yes, the Animation Academy building. Yeah.
Okay, Animation Academy building
Yes,
in Hollywood
that's
Land.
great.
You need to go there. It's a really nice break. So if you're feeling a little tired, I would say just first of all, their lobby is amazing. It's really high ceilings and there's screens all the way around it, and they're playing different songs and scenes from different movies, and it's just like very soothing and nice. On a hot day, it's very nice because it's air conditioned in there and there's benches in there. But then there's a couple different things. There's like an animation type of thing you can do. You can find out which Disney character, or you can do either like hero or villain you are, which is now all over the internet as well. But I think they had these tests there before like BuzzFeed quizzes were a thing.
Yeah, it's pretty much a BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah. But then there's Turtle Talk with Crush, which just delights my heart so much. Pretty much Crush the turtle from Finding Nemo answers questions, and he's on a screen, but he's like talking to the audience, and so they've set it up so that like he can hear the audience and respond with like specific answers and like will call out. And so I mean, clearly they have a voice actor, and then they are mapping when his mouth is moving and just having the character's mouth move. But
like Paul Bunyan. Except for the moving mouth part.
Like Paul Bunyan at the Trees of Mystery.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's so
exactly
funny
like
and
that.
like yeah. And it's different every time because he's like interacting with the audience. I think to me it's just delightful, but I also love Crush the Turtle a lot. So and then Katie, do they still have that 3D Toy Story thing that looks like a flip book? Oh, it's mesmerizing.
I believe so.
It's like a 3D flip book where like there's these little sculptures and then the thing spins and it looks like the Toy Story toys are moving, but it's actually all like a spinning sculpture thing. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that building just like makes me very happy, and it's great. And it's near the Monsters Inc. ride, which is also like one of the best storybook rides. That area is so good.
Okay, so hold on. We got to take a step back. So you have just made a reference, and then Katie, you made a reference earlier. Apparently there are types of rides. So because Katie, you mentioned a dark ride, and now Cheryl, you just said a Storybook ride. Can you just pause and tell me what that? I mean, obviously a dark ride probably means it's in the dark.
Well, I mean, it's we're referring to the same thing. So a dark ride is a ride where they're using like lighting and effects to set a scene, basically. I mean, any of the old Fantasyland attractions like Peter Pan's Flight and Snow White's Scary Adventures. It's a Small World is a dark ride. Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, those are all dark rides. So you're in a building. You're not. It was. I think the term was originally developed to like differentiate like flat rides or outdoor rides or roller coasters from a ride that might be more elaborate with like scenes in it. It's an old term that they've used in like amusement parks and theme parks, but yeah, dark rides are like
they're great.
Yeah, it's not a roller coaster.
The Monsters Inc. one is newer, therefore it is better because they've improved how they do them.
Okay, but you called it a Storybook ride.
I call it that because a lot of them are in. Is it? Katie, is it your Storybook Land? No,
Fantasyland.
Fantasyland is a lot of like, I call it a storybook ride because it's like you're going through the story of one of the movies.
Well, in some of them, they literally have a storybook that they show you at the end that's like, and everyone lived happily ever after. Like it's Snow White one, which is...
So it's like watching a 5 to 10 minute version of the movie while you're in a ride.
Exactly.
Going through a little slow moving car and the characters are doing things and everything. So,
there are two of those at DCA. There's the Monsters Inc. one. There's the Little Mermaid one. Those are both fun. Also at DCA, let me get through some of the things you should do, and then we can talk more about Disneyland. You should totally go on Soarin' Around the World. That one's like you're in this like seat that like where your legs are dangling down, and they like zoom you up to this big screen, and it looks like you feel like you're flying, and you see images of like landmarks around the world. It used to be soaring around California, now it's soaring around the world. That one's very good. That one's a fast pass attraction. You should totally get a fast pass for that one. Okay. And you should go on Toy Story Midway Mania. That one's really cute. It's a 3D attraction where you're in a vehicle and you're like playing these like 3D games with the Toy Story characters. It's pretty fun.
That is such a fun ride. It's like you have a little like ball pulley thing.
Yes.
So like the thing you're playing, you actually do move. And it's somehow video game and 3D, and then like air shoots back at you when you like pop a balloon or things like that.
Oh, fun.
And
yeah,
there's Easter eggs in it. So you can Google, if you do it more than one, you should Google what the Easter eggs are to get like way more points as well, which is really fun. So
yeah, it's kind of got this like old arcade feeling, but it's like using like modern technology. It's really interesting.
And that one's called what?
Toy Story
Midway Mania?
Yeah, Toy Story Midway Mania. Yeah.
Midway Mania.
It's back on
near
the
roller
pier.
coaster.
It's back on the pier area. That's now Pixar Pier. It used to be called Paradise Pier.
Okay.
And you should see World of Color, because that's a beautiful show. It happens on the lagoon in DCA. It's gorgeous.
But that's an evening show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
they do projections on essentially a very fancy water fountain. Many water fountains.
But that's what Fantasmic does too.
They have them in Fantasmic. This is like a much more elaborate water screen show that's using projections and lights and lasers and fire and all kinds of stuff. Fantasmic is totally worth seeing, but it only runs on weekends at that time of year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at that time of year, it's only on weekends. Now it's on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night when you're going to be there. So I don't know if you're there on any of those nights during the trip.
I would not be. No, I would not plan to, because it's a weekend and I'm trying to avoid weekends because there's more people there.
Yeah.
So does that mean that Disneyland doesn't do any evening shows during the week then?
They're not running any parades right now. Well, I should say, I think their holiday parade is still running as we record this, but it won't be by then. And the new parade's not starting till after you leave. But there is a castle show that they're doing right now. I hesitate to call it a fireworks show because during the week they don't have fireworks. They're only doing the fireworks on the weekends. So in the week time, this is a new thing. I think the neighborhood, or the city of Anaheim or something, was squeaky wheeling it about the fireworks noise or something. But either that or Disney got annoyed by budget, how much it costs to do fireworks every night. But during the week, it's called Mickey's Mix Magic, and it's like projections on the castle and different effects like pyro and lasers and stuff, but there's no fireworks. I don't know how, the show has mixed reviews. It's probably fun to see. I wouldn't go too much out of your way to see it. But World of Color is a good show. Yeah.
Because I might only be able to do one late night, since my sister is my drive home. So it sounds like World of Color is the one to do that.
Good. Mm-hmm. Although I also recommend, if you any amount of time that you can spend just being in the parks at night is good, because the atmosphere is the best in the evening. It's after dark, but the sun's gonna be setting at 5 when you're there. So anytime you're there after 5 will be, dark and kind of the fun lighting and all that stuff. Good atmosphere.
Are there generally fewer people later in the evening, or is it still pretty consistent?
If it gets late enough, around dinner time, there's still plenty of people there, and some locals go to the parks after they get off work, so they'll be there around then. But if it gets later in the evening, then people start filtering out. So if
there's a night where it's open till midnight, it really does seem to get
so around dinner time people will still be there, but then they'll kind of start petering out. So and do you know how...
So it sounds like there's some really fun stuff in California Adventure.
California Adventure is awesome.
It's a good park.
So good.
It's
And then there's a theater there, a full-on
that's the other thing,
with balcony seating. And for years they did an Aladdin show, and it was a 45-minute pretty much Broadway level production for Aladdin. And now, is it Frozen now?
Yeah, it's Frozen now.
Yeah, but it's like a full on, you can go see a play essentially while you're there,
which is cool Frozen is coming to Seattle, the Broadway
so are you
show.
gonna be seeing it?
And I will be seeing that. So I
Okay,
don't know
yeah.
that I would necessarily need to see a 45-minute shorter version of that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as
Necessarily.
elaborate as whatever you see on an
Yeah.
actual like real life theater, but the one in the park, it's good.
It's
a good-
cool, though. There's like a giant theater, and you can
Yeah.
go see a play. It's
That
pretty
is cool.
neat. Yeah.
Yeah, the Frozen one, they're using more like projections and screens and like sets, practical sets, which is what they use in the Aladdin one. So I don't think it's as impressive, but it's still a good show, and it is a good break in the afternoon if you want to like take chill out.
You can just sit down for a while. And you've seen the show?
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it last time I was there. It's a good show. Yeah. So those are like the highlights of DC. I can't get too deep into it because I need to move on to Disneyland. Because that's if you can't tell, I like DCA quite a bit, but I love Disneyland. So,
And why? Is it that nostalgia again?
Oh,
do you
probably.
think? Is that what makes a big
but,
difference?
I mean, it also has more to do than DCA, but
Sure.
But it's probably nostalgia.
It feels more classic.
It does.
I think you're gonna like DCA for a lot of things, Ryan. And honestly, it's a really enjoyable park. And then I think you have that classic feeling when you step in Disneyland.
Yes.
So
I guess I don't know what that means.
well, even like if you watch an old Disney film, there's that feeling. Like there's a certain feeling to it.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to explain, other than the word classic.
Can we get a sailboat chasing down the sunset as we float round and round the globe? Salty air and balmy nights, guided only by the lights above, and a little love. Oh, the world is out there waiting to explore, and all our troubles here want them to be